Welcome to the Conscious Breathing for Trauma Recovery. My name is Judee and I'm a breathwork specialist. I've been working with breathwork and conscious breathing for over 40 years, and today I'm very pleased to be able to present to you a simple and easy to use method for overcoming trauma in all of the different forms that it can manifest, including fear, anxiety, depression, insomnia, amongst others. This Conscious Breathing for Trauma Recovery, CBTR Training, was conceived in 2017 by myself and a colleague, Brigitte Powell, to work with refugees and other people that were recovering from natural disasters. We piloted the program over a 12-month period in Athens in Greece. And during that time, we went into different NGO areas, organizations, and practiced not only with the refugees, but also with the people organizing and helping those refugees. We had a great success with the refugees, and since then we've expanded this program to include anybody that's suffering from trauma in any form at all. And the purpose of this training is to teach a simple, easy to use and completely free method for transcending trauma in all of the forms that it can take. This training was funded by the International Breathwork Foundation, who is committed to disseminating methods for conscious breathing throughout the world. In order to understand a little bit more about what this training is, I will give you a short theoretical explanation, and for that we'll move to the whiteboard. You may have heard of the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is the system in the body that automatically controls all of our body functions, and that includes the heart rate, digestive process, hormones, respiration. And it's important to just take into account this autonomic nervous system, because even though it is automatic, one of the ways, the only way that we can impact this autonomic nervous system is through the breathing, which is why we see this bridge here from respiration over to conscious breathing. I'll come back to the conscious breathing in a few moments. In the meantime, we'll come back here and see that the autonomic nervous system has two branches. One of the branches is the sympathetic nervous system, and the other is the parasympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system controls our fight, or flee response. And as we know, this response gets triggered whenever we're traumatized, whenever we feel fear, whenever we get anxious. And the result of the triggering of the sympathetic nervous system is stress. And what happens during any trauma, acute trauma or chronic trauma, is that this system is activated and works as a vicious circle. So once we are traumatized and the sympathetic nervous system is functioning, it's very hard to get free of this stress loop. And this is what all people that experience trauma are experiencing on a regular basis, and it really wears our system down, it wears our body, mind down, and it wears us down emotionally. There are many types of conscious breathing, and what makes breathing conscious is simply that we become aware and put our focus on the breathing. The system that we trigger when we breathe consciously is the parasympathetic system. And this is a system that's responsible for rest, for digest, and for renewal. And when this system is operating in the body, we experience emotions like happiness, we feel secure, and we feel trusting. And the result of feeling trust and security and happiness is that we have an overall sense of well-being. And this is what we're aiming for when we do this conscious breathing. I'll just move over to the other side of the whiteboard to explain a little bit more about conscious breathing and specifically the type of conscious breathing that we're using, which is called coherent breathing. And the hallmark of coherent breathing is that it's conscious, it's connected, and it's heart-centered. So what's important to know about this is that we're not breathing automatically. We're breathing with awareness, and we're bringing our attention into our chest, into our heart. It's a way, we could say, of loving ourselves, of lovingly taking care of ourselves. This method of coherent breathing was developed by Stephen Elliott from the USA. He originally worked with this method with Vietnam War veterans for overcoming their trauma. What was discovered during coherent breathing is that the optimal breathing rate to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system and therefore rebalance the system and bring it back into a state of well-being is 5 breaths a minute. And so what we're learning in this technique is how to actually pace our breathing, develop our breathing until we're breathing at that optimal rate so that we can have this experience of balance being restored to the autonomic nervous system. Because of course we need both the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems to be operating. But what we want is that we're spending more time in the relaxed, restful, digesting and renewal aspect of the nervous system than in the stress-based one. This method is very easy to learn and very easy to practice, and that's why we love it so much and why we're so excited about bringing this to you. Because when can you do it? How do you do it and where? You practice it 3 times a day. So let's think you do that morning, lunchtime, and in the evening before you go to sleep. You practice breathing 6 breaths a minute, and you practice it for 5 minutes. So in a total, we will be using this method for 15 minutes a day. And when we do that regularly, it restores this balance to the autonomic nervous system. Where do we do this breathing? Well, in the beginning, we want to do this breathing somewhere quiet, where we're undisturbed, so that we can be focused on what we're doing. But once we've got the knack of it, once we understand what it is, we can actually do it anywhere and at any time. We can be out and about in our daily tasks, and we can be bringing our awareness to our breath, and we can be consciously bringing our attention into the heart center, clicking in to the rhythm of our breathing, and therefore consciously affecting our health and well-being. A really interesting thing that I would love you to take away with you from this presentation is to know that in the beginning, when we're learning to breathe it for 5 breaths a minute, which is 6 seconds in and then 6 seconds out, once we've mastered the breathing technique, we can become more supple with it and to understand that basically whenever we want more energy, we need to breathe a longer inhale, and whenever we want to move more into rest mode, we will breathe a longer exhale. Thank you for listening to this theoretical presentation. In the part 2 video, we'll be doing a practical demonstration of how you can develop relationship with your breath to expand and lengthen this breath to get the length of the inhale and the exhale that you want for yourself, and that's going to work best for you. Thank you.